You're exhausted all day. And then when you finally lie down at night, you can't sleep. Or you're sleeping 12, 14 hours a day. And when you finally wake up, you feel just as wrecked as when you first lay down. Or maybe you fall asleep fine. And then at 3 a.m., you are jolted awake and your brain starts going and you can't get back to sleep. If any of that sounds familiar to you, welcome to concussion sleep, which is its own special kind of terrible almost nobody prepares you for. Today we're breaking down common sleep terms that come up during concussion recovery. After a brain injury, sleep is medicine, and understanding what's happening and why can actually help find some solutions. My name's Larissa, and this is the Concussion Crew, a channel where we make concussion recovery a little bit easier and a lot more human. This is part of my ongoing medical terminology series where we talk about the plain language definitions of common terms, medical terms that are going to come up in your conversations with your medical healthcare team. Now, my standard disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. I am not your doctor. Think of this as a translation tool so that you can understand a little bit more easily what's going on. This is not medical advice. Okay, let's talk about sleep, why your brain desperately needs it, and why, even though you desperately need it, sometimes it fights you so hard and refuses to cooperate. Sleep is regulated by the brain, and after a concussion, the brain is disrupted. It shouldn't be surprising that sleep, one of the brain's most complex and carefully orchestrated systems, gets thrown off, it gets impacted, it messes with our lives. During sleep, the brain does the majority of its healing work. Metabolic waste is cleared out, inflammation is regulated, neural connections are consolidated. Sleep is not passive recovery, it is active neurological repair, which means that disrupted sleep doesn't just make you feel kind of off, it can actively slow down your recovery. Understanding the terminology helps you to identify what's going on and have a real conversation with your healthcare team about fixing it. When you're talking with your team, here are some of the terms that they might use. Sleep architecture. This refers to the structure of a full night's sleep. So the different sleep cycles, how your brain cycles through from the moment you fall asleep until you wake up. A healthy sleep cycle moves through several stages: light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, and I didn't know this, but a typical night cycles through that between 4 and 6 times, lasting for about 90 minutes per cycle. Each stage performs a different function. Light sleep is a transition stage, makes sense. Deep sleep is sometimes called slow wave sleep. And this is when the body does the majority of its repair work and when the brain clears out the metabolic waste. REM sleep is when memory consolidation and emotional processing happen. After a concussion, this architecture gets disrupted. If you think of it like a house, and light sleep is the staircase going up, and deep sleep is your foundation, and REM sleep is the roof. The concussion is the earthquake that tilted everything, really messed things up. You might spend less time in deep sleep or less time in REM sleep. You might cycle through the stages abnormally. And the result is that even if you're getting enough hours, you're not getting the right kind of sleep. Your body is not doing the things that it needs to, which is why you can sleep for 10 hours and still wake up feeling frickin' exhausted. REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, deserves its own moment because it is crucial to concussion recovery. During REM sleep, our brains are highly active. They process emotions, they consolidate memories, they make connections between information. For someone recovering from a brain injury where cognitive functioning and emotional reasoning are already impacted, REM sleep is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. REM disruption after a concussion is really common, and it can look like disturbing dreams, waking frequently in the morning hours when the REM cycles are supposed to be the longest, or, and this one is me in a nutshell, feeling just emotionally raw and cognitively drained. If you're waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. and can't get back to sleep, that's often REM disruption. And that is worth naming to your doctor because it is a specific problem with a specific solution. Anytime you can be really specific with your doctor about your pain, about the side effects of your pain, about anything that is going on in your recovery, it gives them clues and information to help drill down. And we're talking about the brain here, so you want to get really specific because treatment is very targeted and specific. Okay, let's talk about hypersomnia and insomnia. Just like a lot of our other symptoms, after a concussion, you might experience in the same week these two radically different symptoms. Insomnia is difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up too early and being unable to get back to sleep. And most of us have heard this term and are familiar with it. Hypersomnia is excessive sleepiness, sleeping more than usual, feeling unable to get enough sleep or rest no matter how much sleep and rest you get, or having a lot of difficulty just staying awake even after a full night's sleep or a more than full night's sleep. Please hear me when I say that both of these are concussion symptoms. They are a result of the brain's disruption, and they are not laziness. They are not a moral failing. They are not you just can't be bothered to get out of bed. They are symptoms, data, and information for your medical team. Circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. It's a roughly 24-hour cycle that regulates when you feel awake and when you feel asleep, and when you feel ready for rest. After a concussion, that clock can get knocked off schedule. You might find yourself wide awake, ready to go at 2 a.m. and exhausted and need to go back to bed at 2 p.m. You might feel like your sleep schedule has shifted 2 or 3 hours in one direction or the other direction. Again, this could happen because the system in your brain that regulates this in your body is disrupted after the concussion. Light exposure is one of the most powerful tools for resetting your circadian rhythm. Opening the blinds and getting bright light in the morning and avoiding screens and artificial light in the evenings. I know, bummer, sorry. I have a video on solitaire games that are not the typical solitaire that you see on every computer and you've known since you were a kid. So if you want some screen-free activities, I will make sure to link it. And we've got a whole playlist of screen-free activities, because avoiding screens at night is not just good sleep hygiene advice. For someone with a disrupted circadian rhythm, it's actual targeted intervention. And again, your medical team can help you. Talk to them about whether a structured light schedule would maybe help you. I'd heard of sleep hygiene before. I had not heard about sleep pressure. These are two different mechanisms that both influence sleep, and understanding the difference can help, especially when you're conversing with doctors. Sleep pressure is the biological drive. It comes from a buildup of adenosine in your brain that makes you feel tired, and it builds up more the longer you're awake. The more sleep pressure you accumulate, the sleepier you feel. This is why pulling an all-nighter can make you feel terrible the next day. That accumulation of adenosine just completely wipes your system out. Sleep hygiene, on the other hand, refers to habits and the environment to set yourself up for good sleep. Consistent sleeping and waking times, cool temperatures, no screens for an hour before bed, avoiding caffeine late in the day, that sort of thing. things that we've all heard a number of times, right? Those are the common ones. After a concussion, both of these can be disrupted. The sleep pressure might not build normally because of the way that our brain was impacted by the concussion. And sleep hygiene, which might not have played a huge role for you in the past if you were always a good sleeper, might become really crucial because it has a big impact on your sleep cycle. And again, if you're struggling with sleep and you look at all the things that are out there and you work on your sleep hygiene, that is wonderful, but it really might not be enough. If your brain through the concussion was impacted in such a way that it's impacting your sleep, you might need more help than just avoiding caffeine after 12 o'clock. And that's okay. That's why we have a medical system. Let's talk about fatigue versus sleepiness, because this is something that I interchanged in my mind. Sleepiness is the urge to sleep. It's what you feel when sleep pressure is built up, you've got the adenosine in your system, when your circadian rhythm is signaling sleep, then sleep resolves sleepiness. Fatigue, on the other hand, is a broader state of exhaustion. It can be physical, it could be mental, it could be both at the same time, and that doesn't resolve necessarily with sleep alone. After a concussion, fatigue is often neurological in origin. Your brain has been disrupted and it is having to work harder to do everything than it used to. And I do mean everything. You know, when you pause and you think, "Oh, I can't quite find the word," your brain is working overtime in there trying to remember the word for "I am thirsty." Just that word is taxing your brain. Remembering how to pour a glass of water can be taxing. And that constant extra effort, that can deplete your system in a way that regular sleep just is not going to replenish. This matters because if you treat fatigue like you do sleepiness and you just try to sleep it off, you might not be addressing the root cause of the fatigue. Fatigue after a concussion can require pacing and energy management, neurological rehabilitation, nervous system support, targeted interventions, not just hours in bed. And this is not something that we can necessarily figure out on our own. So again, I'll take it to your medical team, friend. I'd like to close today with something that isn't necessarily a term, it's a reframe. And it was important for me to stop feeling crappy about myself. Sleep is not laziness. It is not wasted time, and it is not giving up. After an injury, sleep is one of the most active and productive things that your brain can do. Neural connections formed during the day are consolidated during sleep. Waste is flushed out of your brain during sleep. Inflammation is regulated during sleep. Energy stores for your exhausted, overworked brain are replenished during sleep. So if the people around you are suggesting that you should just push through your fatigue, or that you're sleeping too much, or you should just get up and get moving and then you'll get going and you'll somehow pull energy, I don't know, out of thin air, I get that they want you to feel better. They want what's best for you, and they are sad to see you feeling crummy. But that doesn't mean that they are giving you good advice. They might not understand how important rest is to your treatment plan. Check in with your medical team. Make sure you're doing the right stuff, and your family, your friends, anybody, coworkers, anybody that needs to hear it, you have my permission to tell them to back off. You're working with your doctor and you're doing what's best for your body. You can tell them, brains heal while I sleep and I have a brain injury. Back off. I hope this helps a little. I hope it equips you with language to talk to your medical team, to your family, to your friends, or just understand a little more clearly what's going on within your healing brain. If you're looking for tools to track your symptoms, including your sleep or your energy levels, or journaling prompts, different screen-free activities that you could do, I will make sure to drop a link in the comments below. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate you, and I hope that you remember that you are not alone lying in bed at 3 a.m. wondering, when is my brain going to let me get some rest?